Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
how do you want us to conduct this presentation? As a question answer session, or you want us to read from the presentation?
Ma'am,
I'll
what
be
you can
very
do is
short, that's why I'm
go
asking.
through the presentation very quickly once, and then people can ask their doubts later on.
Okay. So initially we are going through the presentation once. After that, you can ask your questions. Okay, please take time. It
Ma'am,
will
could you,
take around at least 1 hour because NLP is not a very easy topic or not a very small topic.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, could you please speak a bit louder or hold the mic closer? Ma'am, because we can't hear you properly.
NLP as a topic is quite a lengthy topic. Even half an hour is vastly inadequate for this topic actually. I will take minimum 1 hour for this topic. Still, do you want me to go through this presentation and later you can ask questions? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you can go through the presentation once quickly, and then we will ask questions. Because most of the doubts will be cleared once you go through the presentation.
Okay. First, here we are discussing the NRP 2015. Okay, according to that, the guidelines have been given. That is what we are going to discuss at present. Approximately 10% of the newborns require some assistance to begin the breathing at birth. Okay, since during the birth of any baby, before the birth of any baby, the first and foremost thing is any person skilled in neonatal discretion, at least one person needs to attend the delivery. And that person needs to be present at the delivery site even before the delivery. And that person has to be given all the details of the birth, antenatal history as well as the internatal details. Now, why I will say, number one, it is very essential to know whether the baby is preterm or term. Number two, it is also essential to know whether the mother is having any kind of complicated labor or not, so that the baby who is birth, we may understand even previously before the baby is born, the baby might need assistance during birth. Like the lighter is meconium stain, or the baby is not moving very well, less fetal movement, or fetal bradycardia, or anything which will help us to think that this baby may need assistance at birth. Sometimes, even though all these things are all right, even then the baby might need assistance. That's why even or no, not these risk factors are present, at least one person needs to be present during delivery. Now, even before the baby is delivered, one thing we need to know is we need to know all these histories so that we can anticipate a difficult delivery. Number two, we need to check whether all our apparatus is in order or not. Now, what do we need? Number one, we need a radiant warmer where we will receive the baby if the baby needs any kind of visitation. That radiant warmer needs to be switched on at least 20 to 30 minutes before delivery in the manual mode with 100% output to pre-warm the radiant warmer for receiving the baby. Also, we need to pre-warm the linen sheets which will be used to wipe the baby dry as well as wrap the baby afterwards. Number two, all our equipments have to be checked, like the bag mask which we are going to use, or which may require. Number two, the laryngoscope has to be present of all sizes, whether the bulb is working or not, we have to check previously. Number three, our oxygen, our suction, everything is in working order or not, we have to check. Number four, any drugs which we may require, that is adrenaline or NS bolus, that has to be prepared and drawn in syringes in advance. And within 24 hours, if it is not used, it has to be discarded and prepared after. Before any delivery, all these things are present and in working order or not, this thing has to be confirmed. The key to successful gestation is we have to anticipate difficult delivery, which I have already explained. We have to prepare for the difficult delivery, which also I have explained. All the things have to be in order, warmer has to be switched on. If anything more than initial steps are required, we need more than one person for the NRP. That's why we have to call for help. Number two, we have to record It is very important that what was the state of the baby in which he received the baby, what are the things he saw and what he did. This documentation is very important these days. And we have to be fast, gentle, and maintain the hygiene. Here, there are some risk factors, antepartum as well as intrapartum, from which we may anticipate that it may be a difficult delivery and baby may require resuscitation. Now, how much that is not possible to deduct from here, that we have to see after the baby is born. What are the equipments we need to get ready before the delivery? One thing is the most important, bag and mask equipment, which is usually we use the neonatal resuscitation bag with a pressure release valve, that is known as the AMBU bag. Face mask of size 0 and 1. One is for preterm baby, another is for term baby. A source of oxygen, a reservoir which is not mentioned here, the pulse oximeter, suction equipments, feeding tube. Incubation equipments, which is a laryngoscope with straight gauge, number 0010, bulbs and battery, and we have to check previously whether everything is in working order or not. Endotracheal tubes, it will depend on the size of the baby. Size 2.5 millimeter internal diameter, 3 millimeter, 3.5, and sometimes 4. These are required for newborn. Medications, epinephrine 1:10,000 diluted. Epinephrine comes in a vial which is ampule, which has the strength of 1:1000. We have to dilute it 10 times to make it 1:10,000, and this has to be done in the morning, even before babies have been delivered. We have to keep it ready so that we can get it anytime we require it. How do we do this? We take 1 ml of epinephrine and mix 9 ml NS in the syringe so that it is diluted 10 times. The final concentration of 1:10,000 is formed. Normal saline may be required later for volume expansion. Now, where do we resuscitate the baby? It can be in two places. It can be either in the delivery room itself, where there is a separate corner with the median warmer and all the equipments, or it may be in a separate room. The room temperature has to be minimum 25 degrees and above, and it has to be ideally draught-free. Means there are no huge doors and windows from where wind is coming. The delivery surface needs to be clean, dry, and warm. Radiant warmer is usually used. These days we don't use the overhead lamp with the bulb because it does not provide heat very well and it may cause accidental burns also. We need clean pre-warmed linens, one for drying the baby and we discard it, another for wrapping the baby. And these we pre-warm by keeping under the radiant warmer, which has to be switched on at least 20 to 30 minutes before delivery, and putting the manual mode in 100% output for pre-warming the warmer as well as the linens. This shoulder roll is required for positioning the baby in case the baby requires any resuscitation. For that, we use a shoulder roll which is around up to 3/4 inches thick. Stethoscope and cord clamp need to be provided.
ম্যাম আপনার মাইকটা মনে হয় মিউট হয়ে গেছে।
ম্যাম কিছু শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
Yes, we are back. Actually, we took a break.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
So the presentation, the way it has been described in the presentation, that if you do not know anything previously, from this presentation it is very difficult to understand anything the way it is explained, unless you know anything previous. For the first timers, this presentation is difficult, the way I was going from slide to slide. That's why I thought it is better to explain the entire flow chart for you, so that you can get some idea what we have to do. Number one is at least one skilled person should attend the delivery. Number two is you get all the details of the delivery, details of the mother, whether any risk factors are present or not. Number three, you switch on the warmer, put it in the manual mode, warm the warmer as well as the relays. Number four is you check all your equipment so that they are in working order, because you may need anything once the baby has been born. Number four, if there are any risk factors like the baby is preterm or the baby has risk of asphyxia, like the fetus there was less fetal movement or fetal bradycardia, or electrotopography done has revealed that there are it is non-reassuring status. That in that case there is an anticipation. We anticipate that the baby may not be normal at birth, so we perform some antenatal counseling even before the birth. Now, after the baby is born, the umbilical cord is cut and the baby is handed over to the pediatrician or the person who is going to perform the resuscitation. Here, in the beginning, we see three things: whether the baby is term or preterm, whether the baby is having good tone, whether the baby is breathing or crying. Now, how do we know the baby is term or preterm? Number one, from even before the baby is born, from the LMP of the mother, we may get some idea. From the first trimester ultrasonography, it will give us a gestational age. From there, we may get some idea. Number three is if nothing is available, then just by looking at the baby and quickly assessing the physical features of the baby, we may get some idea. This is not the time to perform a detailed Dallas scoring, because here time is very important. We are not going to perform a detailed Dallas scoring at this point of time. Number two is tone. How do we know that the baby's tone is good or it's normal? Here we are not going to perform any neurological examination. We will simply see whether the baby's arms and legs are flexed or not and good movement is present or not. If they are totally extended and they are not moving, then tone is poor. Otherwise, if the baby is flexed, arms and legs are flexed and good movement is there, then tone is good. Breathing or crying. Crying means a baby is crying, means baby is breathing well. If the baby cannot breathe, baby cannot cry. So we will very quickly after birth assess these 3 points. If all of them are okay, then we are going to provide only routine care to the baby. For that, we need not take the baby to the warmer. We are going to wrap the baby dry, discard that sheet, and put the baby on the abdomen and chest of the mother and wrap the baby with another dry P1 unit. We are, unless and until there are very profuse secretions, we are going to wipe the nose and mouth clean. We are going to apply cord clamp to the baby, and we are going to evaluate the baby at this time, whether the baby is warm or not, pink or not, taking proper respirations or not. Even after the delivery, 1 hour observation period is present both for the mother and the baby in the labor room. If at this time the baby is okay, then the baby is allowed to go with the mother to the ward. Otherwise, the baby has to be admitted to the SNC. If any of these things answer is no, means term or preterm, good tone, good breathing or crying. If out of these things any one answer is no, then we have to go for the initial steps of resuscitation. Now, what are the initial steps? There are a series of steps done one by one in a sequence. First is warming. We have to take the baby and put the baby under the radiant warmer, which we have already pre-warmed by putting into the manual mode with 100% output 20 to 30 minutes before the delivery. Number two is position. Why is positioning required? It is required because we want the baby to maintain the airway. We want to keep the airway open. That's why we have to position it in such a way that the pharynx, larynx and trachea are all in a single line. If the neck is hyperflexed or hyperextended, then the airway will be bent and obstructed. For that reason, we need to apply a shoulder roll even below the shoulder of the baby, which has to be half to 3/4 inches thick. If it is very thick, then the neck will be hyperextended. If it is not at all thick, then it will be hyperflexed. And one more thing, we need to place the roll under the shoulder, not under the head. If you place a thick roll under the head, then the neck will be flexed. That will actually obstruct the air. So first was warning, next was positioning. Third is clear the secretions. Usually we apply suction. How do we apply suction? Suppose we do not have anything else, there is no valve suction or no suction machine, then we can apply suction using the release mucus sucker. It has got two ends. One end we apply to the baby's mouth or nose. Another end we keep it inside our mouth. And if we apply a negative pressure like drawing from a straw, then the secretions will come down and get trapped in there is a trap in between both the ends where the secretion will collect. If by chance that trap is not working, and if you are not careful, then it may go into your mouth also. So that thing you need to be careful. Suppose we have a wall suction, which is the trend now, or if we have a suction machine, then we will apply maximum pressure of 80 to 100 millimeter mercury, never more than that. And we are usually using a 8-French suction catheter for suctioning the mouth and the nose, for clearing the air there. Warm position suction, then we will go for drying the baby. We will use the pre-warm linen for drying the baby, and while we rub the baby dry, we have to be careful that we dry the head also, because the head occupies a large surface area of the baby's body compared to the body size. And during this drying also, this process will provide some stimulation to the baby, which may help the baby to breathe. In warm, positioning, suctioning, dry, then stimulate. If the baby was undergoing primary apnea and inside intrauterine condition, then if we apply some stimulation, baby may breathe. And the drying process also provides stimulation, so we need not waste too much time on the stimulation stage. How do we stimulate the baby? By flicking of the soles or rubbing of the back. We do not apply any vigorous stimulation to the baby. We do not hold the baby upside down, and we do not beat the baby. These things were done before. Even I have seen these things happen. So the initial steps will comprise in sequence: 1, positioning, suctioning, dry, stimulate, and after stimulating, reposition. Because by all these processes, we have hampered that positioning which we have done. Positioning means positioning of the neck, basically, to open the air. The positioning of the neck and clearing of the secretion will help to open the air. And after all these things, we have to perform a reassessment, that is, whether the baby is breathing or not, and what is the heart rate. Now, breathing effort is present or not, which we can assess only by seeing the baby. And how do we assess the heart rate? We can assess the heart rate by multiple methods. We can apply a ECG leads to the baby. We can apply pulse oximeter, or if we don't have anything, simply we can put the stethoscope on the baby's chest. If we don't have that also, then we can just palpate the base of the umbilical cord and count the number of pulsations, though this is a very gross method. This is the least approved method. So if we don't have pulse oximeters or we don't have ECG monitors, then better we use the stethoscope. If the baby is apneic or gasping, or the heart rate is below 100 beats per minute, any one of them is abnormal, then we go for the positive pressure ventilation. If both are okay, then we see whether there is labored breathing or any persistent cyanosis. Now here, regarding cyanosis, just after delivery, a baby's saturation is never going to be 90% or 100%. There is a chart for this. We have to apply the pulse oximeter on the right hand of the baby, because that is the preductal saturation. And there are certain targets which is dependent on the time since birth, and we have to see what the saturation the baby is having against that time. The normal saturations time-wise are after birth, time since birth, pre-ductal result. So you have to apply it to the right time. At 1 minute after birth, it has to be 60 to 65%. 2 minutes after birth, 65 to 70%. 3 minutes after birth, 70 to 75%. 4 minutes after birth, 75 to 80%. 5 minutes after birth, 80 to 85%. 10 minutes after birth, 85 to 95%. This means that it will take 5 to 10 minutes after birth for a baby to attain a more or less normal saturation, at where the baby will not appear cyanotic. For the first 4 minutes of birth, the baby will have saturation below 80%, that is normal, and the baby may appear cyanotic. So before considering whether the baby is truly having persistent cyanosis or not, we need to see the pre-ductal saturation by applying the pulse oximeter to the right hand and see what the saturation is and compare it with this chart before targeting it as saying it is abnormal. If the baby is really having cyanosis without labor breathing, then we may just consider some supplemental oxygen. If the baby is having really labor breathing or the baby is less than 32 weeks or 1.5 kg, then we may consider delivery room CPAP. It will help the baby to achieve a FRC and it will help in the long run. If any of these things was abnormal, that is the breathing was apneic, there was acute zone respiration or gasping type of irregular respiration, or the heart rate was below 100 per minute, if any one of this is abnormal, then we have to go for positive pressure ventilation. And if we haven't applied the ECG monitor or the SpO2 monitor previously, this is the point of time where we must apply. Now, how do we apply positive pressure ventilation to the baby? There are multiple methods actually by which we may apply positive pressure ventilation. Number one is self-inflatable bag mask ventilation. Number two is flow inflatable bag mask ventilation. Number three is the T-piece ventilation. The most commonly used thing which we use is the self-inflatable bag mask ventilation, which is also known as the AMBO bag. Now, why do we use positive pressure ventilation? What do we mean by positive pressure ventilation? Simply, suppose a baby is not taking any breath. We are artificially providing the breath to the baby. That is the positive pressure ventilation. By whatever loads we use, either it is a self-inflatable bag, or it is the flow bag, or it is a T-piece, everything is done for the same purpose. To artificially provide breath to the baby who cannot take a breath by itself, or if the heart rate is below 100 per minute. Usually in a newborn, when the heart rate is below 100 per minute, the reason is most commonly hypoxia, lack of oxygen, because the baby is not breathing well or gasping. That is the most common. So to correct that heart rate, we provide the breath to the baby. That's why in both situations, if either one of them or both of them are abnormal, we need to provide the positive pressure ventilation. Can you see this device? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Ma'am, but could you speak a
Can
little
you
bit
see this
louder?
device?
Ma'am, can we see
Okay,
this?
okay. Can you see this device?
Ma'am, we can see the algorithm.
Are you able to see this device?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait a second. I'm going to show you the bag mask.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can you see this device I'm holding in my hand?
Yes, ma'am.
You can see.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am. We
holding
can
something
see.
in my hand. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
We can
ma'am.
see.
Okay, okay. This is the self-inflatable bag mask refrigerator. What we mean by self-inflatable, suppose this is not connected to anything, no oxygen, no air, no gas, nothing. I am deflating it and leaving it. It is getting inflated by itself. The main advantage is, suppose in a rural area or a very primary healthcare area where we are not having any access to anything, suppose even oxygen is not there, or during transport, suppose oxygen is not there, or oxygen has somehow finished or the source, something is happening. This bag will still provide room air to the baby. Sometimes it is not oxygen which we require, but rather breathing. Suppose a baby does not have any effort. For that, the baby cannot draw any air inside the lungs. Suppose whatever we are breathing at present, that is essentially room air. That has got 21% oxygen. But we must have some breathing efforts to take the air to our lungs. So sometimes that room air is also sufficient for a baby. Now, how much oxygen do we start at present? If a baby is stunned, then we are going to start with room air only. We are not going to apply any oxygen. Room air means 21% oxygen. If the baby is preterm, more than 35 weeks, then we are going to start initially with 21 to 30% of oxygen. And in both cases, we are going to titrate depending on the saturation of the baby, target saturation. That will depend again on the time since birth. I have already explained in the chart. Now, I am explaining the parts of this thing to you. Here, can you see this? Can you see this? What I am showing now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the inlet valve complex. Here, as you can see, there are two inlets. One is this large one and one is this small one. In this small one, here we are going to apply the oxygen tubing. This what I am holding in my hand, this is the oxygen tubing which I am going to apply in this end. This another end, either this will be left open or I can apply a reservoir bag to this end, which I have applied at present. Now, when and where and why, that I am going to explain 2 minutes later. Can you see this valve opening and closing?
Yes, ma'am.
When I am pressing this bag, this valve is opening. That means suppose this bag has got some air. What is the oxygen content? I will explain later. Suppose at present, because I am just holding this bag, there is only room air. That is 21% oxygen. When I press this bag, air from this bag leads through this valve, goes to the patient. The valve is open. When I am leaving this bag, then air from the patient will enter this end but go out through these expiratory valves. Here there are many expiratory valves. It will not go back to the bag. That means air will leave this bag through this fish mouth valve. It will go to the patient, and in this end we will attach either a mask for bag mask ventilation or an endotracheal tube for bag tube ventilation. through which air will go to the patient, go to the lungs of the patient, they will get inflated. But when the patient is in expiratory stage, then the air will enter here and leave through these multiple valves, expiratory valves. It will not go back inside the bag. So this is the inlet valve complex with one end for the oxygen, another for the reservoir bag if we want to attach. Now what we will attach, that will depend on what oxygen concentration we want to apply. That I will explain 2 minutes later. Through this fish mouth valve, air will go out to the patient. Patient will inhale, the lungs will get inflated. Through this expiratory valve, the exhaled air will go out. They will not re-enter this bag. There is one more valve here, which is known as the pop-up valve. Suppose I am squeezing this bag. I may squeeze this bag very hard or I may squeeze this bag lightly. If I squeeze it very hard, then more pressure will accumulate in this bag and the baby to whom we are applying this bag mask ventilation will get so much of pressure. Suppose the pressure exceeds 35 to 40 millimeters water, then it may damage the baby's lungs. So that excess pressure has to be released. It is like a pressure cooker valve. Suppose excess pressure collects here more than 35 to 40 millimeter water, then when I press, this will open and release that extra pressure. Suppose in some occasion, suppose I want to give that much pressure only, although it may be dangerous, then I may just lock this valve or hold it with my hand and then press. Now, in this situation, when I am locking it or holding it with my hand so that it can't rise, then even if the pressure gets dangerously high, more than 45 to 40 millimeters water, still this valve will not release that extra pressure. Sometimes this pressure may be required, but still it may be harmful, it may damage the lungs, it may even cause a pneumothorax. So usually we do not do it. Now, I have previously explained that in a term baby, we are going to start this process with 21% oxygen and titrate depending on the target saturation. In a preterm baby, more than 35 weeks, we are going to start with 21 to 30% oxygen and titrate again according to the target saturation. Target saturation does not vary in case of term and preterm. It depends on the time since birth, and I have shown you the chart. Now, with this bag, we cannot apply any FiO2 we want. Only some values we know. If we leave both these ends open, there is no oxygen and no reservoir, then we are only providing room air to the baby. Baby will exhale the air, that is the room air, 21%. Suppose we want to provide 40% oxygen to the baby, then we will simply apply the oxygen tubing. We will not apply anything here. The reservoir bag will not be applied. That means when we are pressing the bag, oxygen is also, when we are pressing the bag, then the air will go to the patient. When we are leaving the bag, then the bag will get inflated again. So when the bag is getting inflated, then oxygen will also enter the bag as well as room air will also enter the bag through this gap, this place where we are supposed to apply the reservoir. So it will be a combination of oxygen as well as room air. So the end result is we are going to get an FiO2 of 40% only, 40%. So without applying anything here, so concentration is room air 21% oxygen, FiO2. If we are going to apply only this oxygen tubing, then it is going to be 40%. Suppose we want more than 90%. Then we are going to apply the reservoir bag also, like this. So after we apply the reservoir bag and we press the bag and release, then when the bag is getting re-inflated, then oxygen will enter from the oxygen tubing and some of the oxygen will come inside the bag and rest of the oxygen will get collected in this reservoir bag. So next time we press the bag and we make it get inflated, then oxygen will enter this bag both from the oxygen tubing as well as from the reservoir bag. So at present, because this reservoir bag is applied here, room air cannot enter this place. Instead, the stored oxygen is going to enter the bag. That's why from both ends, oxygen is entering this bag. So the final FiO2 concentration of oxygen getting inside this bag is going to be more than 90%. So we can roughly apply only 3 types of FiO2 with fraction of oxygen inside oxygen with this bag. That is either that is 21%. Here we are not applying anything. It's only room air, or 40% where we are applying only the oxygen tubing, or more than 90% when we are applying both the oxygen tubing and the reservoir bag. Reservoir bag is of 2 types. Here what you can see in my hand, it is the closed bag. It is a reservoir bag, it is totally closed. And when I apply a real oxygen, what I am holding in my hand is only the oxygen tubing. I have not applied it to any source of oxygen. If I had, then this reservoir bag would have been filled with oxygen. At present, it is empty. And there is one more type, that is the corrugated tube, which I am not having at present. Let's see, if I have it, I will show. Both type of reservoir bags can be used. If suppose I want to apply any FiO2 which is in between these values, anything from 21% to 100%, but that is not roughly 21 only or 40 only or 90 only, then actually we cannot use this bag. Then we have to use the low inflatable bag, that is the anesthesia bag, or the TPs. In both these cases, we are having 2 sources. One is of oxygen and another is of air. And there is a blender where there is a knob. We rotate the knob to set our desired FiO2, and that air oxygen mixture will be mixed in such a proportion that our desired FiO2 will be applied to the bag. But with this simple bag, we cannot do that. So we are applying anything in this inlet side according to the FiO2 we require. Then we are going to press this bag, and we are having a mask here. Air will enter the baby through this mask. This fish mouth valve will open when we press the bag. Now when we release the bag, the exhaled air from the patient is not going to re-enter the bag. It is going to go out through these exhalation valves, and fresh air or oxygen or combination is going to re-enter this bag from this side. What will enter, what will be the FiO2 will depend on what I have attached to this side. Now, how will I position the baby? Where will I stand? What will be my rate of giving these breaths? I am going to explain.
Ma'am,
You want to ask me something?
ম্যাম বলছিলাম যে আপনি বলেন প্রিটার্ম বেবি হলে আমরা ওই টাইট্রেশন করব অক্সিজেনটাকে, তাহলে এটাই তো ফিক্সড, এটা দিয়ে তাহলে আমরা ইউজ করা যাবে না?
টাইট্রেশন করব ডিপেন্ডিং অন টার্গেট প্রেসক্রিপশন। হ্যাঁ বলো।
হ্যাঁ বলছি ম্যাম, তাহলে এটাই তো আপনি বলেন ফিক্সড O2 ডেলিভার করতে পারবো, তাই মানে 40 নইলে 90%, তাহলে এটা তো ইউজ করা যাবে না তখন?
ফিক্সড ভ্যালু যাবে না, মানে যেখানে যেটা আছে সেখানে সেটা ইউজ করতে হবে। মোস্ট কমনলি ডেভেলপিং কান্ট্রিজে এটা ইউজ হয়। এটা সব থেকে বড় সুবিধাটা হচ্ছে যে এটা সেলফ ইনফ্লেটেবল। সাপোজ এমন একটা জায়গা, এমন একটা পিএইচসি বা এমন একটা সিচুয়েশন যেখানে আমার কাছে অত কিছু নেই, ফ্লো ব্যাগ নেই, কারণ ফ্লো ব্যাগে একটা মিনিমাম ফ্লো অফ অক্সিজেন 5 to 10 লিটার পার মিনিট ছাড়া ফ্লো ব্যাগ চলে না। ফ্লো ব্যাগ হচ্ছে অ্যানেস্থেসিয়া ব্যাগ, যেটা হয়তো ওটিতে দেখে। টিপিসও সব জায়গায় নেই, তো এটা একদম বেসিক জায়গা বা যেটা ডিউরিং ট্রান্সপোর্ট, এই ব্যাগটা খুবই ভালো। কেননা এটা বাই চান্স যদি অক্সিজেন সোর্স ডিসকানেক্টেড হয়ে যায় বা না থাকে, তাহলেও এটা অ্যাটলিস্ট 2 মেয়ার দিতে পারে। আর অত ভালো করে এনি ভ্যালু আনতে গেলে সেটার জন্য আমার ব্লেন্ডার লাগবে, সেগুলো এই চাতে হবে। সেটার জন্য আমার ফ্লো ব্যাগ বা টিপিসে অতটা অ্যাকুরেট হতে পারে। আর যদি সেটা থাকে তাহলে ভালো, যদি না থাকে তাহলে এটা দিয়ে ওই 21, 40, 100 করতে হবে। মানে টাইট্রেশন হবে, রাফলি হবে, অত টাইম হয়তো কম। আর টার্গেট স্যাচুরেশন ইট ইজ সেম ইন টার্ম অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ প্রিটার্ম। ইট উইল ডিপেন্ড আফটার মানে টাইম সিন্স বার্থ, ওই 1 মিনিট, 2 মিনিট, 3 মিনিট, 4 মিনিট, 5 মিনিট, 10 মিনিট কত টার্গেট। target values do not change for turn as well as preterm. It is same in both cases. আর হচ্ছে it is seen in the preductal side, that means right hand.
ম্যাম অ্যানেস্থেসিয়া ব্যাগটা কখন ইউজ করব? হ্যালো,
তোমাদের কি এখন অ্যানেস্থেসিয়া ব্যাগটা শিখতে হবে না? যেটা ইন্ডিয়ায় মোস্ট কমনলি ইট ইজ a developing country, we don't have so much of resources. Even in tertiary care units also, we are more comfortable using this bag only. First learn this thing, because most commonly you will get this thing only, and next is in an exam also you will be asked about this bag only. So anesthesia bag is only for your theoretical purpose. You learn the parts of this bag. This is very important for exam purpose also, and during real use also you have to use this. Any bag can be used depending on where you are working. Everything is good, but depending on what you are given, you have to learn that. This is most commonly used in our country to learn this.
Ma'am,
What is the concentration of oxygen achieved with open-ended reservoir? What is the concentration of oxygen, ma'am? What is the concentration of oxygen achieved with open-ended reservoir?
Even if the reservoir is open-ended or closed, it will be more than 90%. The one which is open-ended but it is like a long tube corrugated to increase the surface area. It is so long, and corrugation is also done to increase the surface area, that air will not be able to enter. It will be filled with oxygen only. The end result is going to be same with that reservoir bag in situ, whether it be closed or open-ended corrugated rubber, corrugated tube. End result is that you are going to achieve an FiO2 which is more than 90%.
Okay.
Now I will show how to use this bag. ভিডিও কিছু একটা দেখে বাচ্চা দেখা এই বাচ্চাকে চলবে এই
দেখা যাচ্ছে কিন্তু ভালো বোঝা যাচ্ছে না। ম্যাম একটু দূরে গিয়ে যদি দেখান তাহলে কোনো বেটার ভিজিবিলিটি আসবে। একটু দূরে। Yes, but yes, but
দেখা যাচ্ছে? দেখা যাচ্ছে?
ম্যাম এবার ঠিক আছে মোটামুটি।
কি?
ম্যাম এবার ঠিক আছে মোটামুটি।
হ্যাঁ? হ্যালো?
না ম্যাম আমরা কিছু বলিনি।
ম্যাম আপনি দূরে সরে গেলে ভয়েসটা একটু কমে যাচ্ছে।
জোরে বলার চেষ্টা করছি। Suppose I want to apply bag mask ventilation to this baby. So what should I do? I should stand at the head end of this baby. This baby is hanging in the air, but this baby will not hang in the air. This baby will stay in the radiant warmer. This baby will be before applying the bag mask ventilation, I have to achieve a proper airway of the baby. Airway has to be kept open. For that, I have to properly position this baby. Positioning is same which I have explained during the initial steps. Can you see this baby now? দেখতে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে বাচ্চাটা? Can you see this?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম।
দেখতে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে।
Now this baby is there. We have not got radiant warmer. We have got the baby coat here. Ideally, the radiant warmer will be here where the hand is now. Okay. The baby will be under the radiant warmer, lying in the pot. I am going to position the baby. I will apply the shoulder roll below the shoulder, not below the head, because if I apply the shoulder roll below the head, it will get placed. Where it will be obstructed. So I will apply the roll below the shoulder and slightly extend the head so that the airway is open. the Chinese language stapler all on the symbol. If it is hypertext or hyperexamination, then the airway will be observed. I have to stand near the edge of the lip. From the footage, I cannot apply the same. Even before delivery of the baby, I have checked that this bag must be in working order or not. Suppose these things are any loose or there is any hole or anything in the bag. Then if I hold this end like this, if I press the bag, then I will not feel any resistance, which I should normally feel. Suppose this bag was missing or this valve was loose, but not fitted or it was not tightened. Air will leak out of this bag and air will not enter the baby's lungs and not be able to get infected. Even before delivery, it is very important to check that everything is in working order or not. This size of the mask will depend on the size of the baby. There are roughly two types of neonatal masks. One is for child, one is for fetal. Smaller one is for fetal, larger one is for child. So the one which we will apply will depend on the size. Another thing is shape of this mask. It may be anatomically shaped like this one, this narrow in this for the nose, or it may be totally round without any shape. Does not matter what shape of mask you have. It matters what size you have. If the size is too large or too small for a baby, then the pinch will not be proper. You will not be able to use the bag mask properly. For that, you may use any one, anatomical one or the round one. I am not having the round one now. That is not important, size is important. I am fitting this to this end outlet. Since this is the anatomical one, this is cushioned, see it is cushioned, so that the baby does not receive any injuries while the process of diagnosis. Now, since this is the anatomical one mask, I will apply this narrowing to the nose side. Like this. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see the baby? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
কিছু দেখা যাচ্ছে?
ম্যাম দেখা যাচ্ছে কিন্তু অতটা ক্লিয়ার ভাবে দেখা যাচ্ছে না।
Okay, roughly you can see I am applying this mask to the baby. And now you have to know how if the size is okay for the baby or it is too oversized or it is undersized. The mask which is proper size will cover the chin of the baby, the mouth as well as the nose but not the eyes. Suppose this mask was too large for the baby. It will cover not only the chin, the mouth, the nose, the bridge of the nose as well as the eyes. If it is covering the eyes also, then I will know that it is too large. If I use this mask, it will cause a huge leak. So I cannot provide the diaphragm ventilation well with this mask. Suppose it is too small. Too small means it is so small that it will not cover the chin also. That means it is too small. Again, then this mask will not be able to provide the diaphragm ventilation with this mask. So the mask of proper size will cover the chin, cover the mouth, the nose, the bridge of the nose, but not the eyes. Anything too large or too small, and we cannot apply the diaphragm ventilation there. Application means ultimately, whatever when you are pressing this bag, air will escape through this end, through the mask. It will go inside the lungs of the baby and it will inflate. We are going to provide an artificial breath to the baby. That is our motto. So if this mask is not properly fitted, then everything will escape. Once we press this bag, air instead of going inside the baby, will escape through this ring, go outside, and so it will not enter the lungs. That's why size is important. Next is, how do we hold this mask to the baby so that it maintains a proper fit? That is also very important. If we cannot hold it properly and we press this, then air will escape to the sides, go outside. It will not be able to enter the baby, it will not be able to inflate the lung. Can you see my hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
এটাকে আমি এরকম সি এর মতো করেছি, ঠিক আছে? দেখতে পাচ্ছো? আমার হাতটা দেখতে পাচ্ছো?
Yes, ma'am, দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
সি এর মতো করেছি, এরকম করে ধরছি, ঠিক আছে? এরকম করে এই বাচ্চার মুখের উপর দিয়ে থাকবে, এরকম।
ম্যাম, কোন হাতটা মুখের দিকে থাকবে আর কোন হাতটা ব্যাক ধরবে?
আচ্ছা, I am a right-handed person. Usually, maximum people are right-handed. Right-handed হলে আমি ডান হাত দিয়ে ব্যাগটা প্রেস করব, ঠিক আছে? এইভাবে, এটা আমার ডান হাত, এটা আমার বাঁ হাত। এই বাঁ হাতটা দিয়ে আমি এই মাছটা হোল্ড করব বাচ্চার মুখে, এবং বাঁ হাতের এই দুটো আঙুল দিয়ে আমি সি করেছি। সিটা করে এই মাছকে প্রপার সিল মেনটেন করব। বাকি তিনটে আঙুল দিয়ে আমি বাচ্চার জটাকে একটা পজিশনে রাখবো, যাতে কি আমার প্রত্যেকটা প্রেসের সঙ্গে সঙ্গে মাথাটা এরকম এরকম করে যাতে না নড়ে। মাথাটা এরকম এরকম করে নড়লে কি হবে, ওর এয়ারওয়েটা হ্যাম্পার্ড হবে, কখনো ফ্লেক্স হবে, কখনো এক্সটেন্ড হবে, ব্লক হয়ে যাবে। তাহলে এই যে পজিশনিংটা আমি করেছি বাচ্চার মাথাটার, সেটা মেনটেন করার জন্য এই তিনটে আঙুল দিয়ে ধরবো, আর এই মাছটাকে মুখে ফিল করবো কি। অনেকটা এইরকম ব্যাপার আছে। এই তিনটে আঙুল বাচ্চার জয়ে থাকে, জটাকে ওই পজিশনে এখানে পজিশন করেছি রাখার জন্য। বাকি দুটো আঙুল দিয়ে আমি এই মাছটাকে ধরে বাচ্চার মুখের উপর রাখছি। এইটা ধরা কেন, এটা না ধরলে মাছটা বাচ্চার মুখে ঠিক না করলে সাইড দিয়ে লিক হয়ে যাবে। এই তিনটে আঙুল দিয়ে জটা ধরা কেন, প্রত্যেকবার প্রত্যেকটা ব্রেথ আমি দিচ্ছি আর মাথাটা উঠছে নামছে, এক্সটেন্ড হচ্ছে, ফ্লেক্স হচ্ছে, এয়ারওয়ে মেনটেন হবে। তাহলে পুরোটাই ঠিক রাখার জন্য আমি আমার বাঁ হাতটা ইউজ করছি। এই দুটো আঙুল দিয়ে এটা পেশেন্টের মুখের সাথে ধরছি, এই তিনটে আঙুল দিয়ে জয়ের পজিশনটা মেনটেন করছি। যেহেতু আমি রাইট হ্যান্ডেড, যেহেতু ম্যাক্সিমাম লোকই রাইট হ্যান্ডেড, আমি ডান হাতে ব্যাগটা প্রেস করি, ব্যাগ প্রেস করার জন্য ডান হাত ইউজ করি। এইরকম কত রেটে প্রেস করবে। হ্যালো, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
ইয়েস ম্যাম।
শোনা যাচ্ছে ম্যাম, শোনা যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা, যে রেটে আমি প্রেস করব সেটা হচ্ছে 40 to 60 পার মিনিট। এই রেটে আমি প্রেস করব ব্যাগটা। আমি প্রেস করব বাচ্চা, এটা কি হবে, এটা আমি সাপোজ আমি প্রেসিং দিস ব্যাগ, তাহলে হচ্ছে প্রেস করলাম, এই ফ্লো ফিশ মাউথ ভালভটা ওপেন হলো, এটা এখানে এই যে মাস্কটা আছে এটার মাধ্যমে পেশেন্টের মুখে চলে গেল। Once it enters patient's mouth, this air is going to enter two places. One thing is via the trachea, it is going to enter the lungs. Another thing is via the esophagus, it is also going to enter inside the stomach. ঠিক আছে? যেহেতু it is the mask only, I cannot dictate যে এটা স্টোমাকে একেবারে যাবে না, এটা দু জায়গাতেই যাবে। It is going to enter the trachea as well as the esophagus. I cannot change that. যদি এটা বাই চান্স ব্যাগ না হয়ে ইটি টিউব হতো, তাহলে হচ্ছে যে ইট উইল গো অনলি থ্রু দ্য টিউব ইনসাইড দ্য ট্রাকিয়া, ইনসাইড দ্য লাংস। বাট ইফ ইট ইজ ব্যাগ মাস, then some of it will enter the stomach. There is no way I can control or prevent that. তাহলে সাপোজ আইদার ওয়ে লাংসে তো যাচ্ছে, স্টোমাকে যাক বা না যাক লাংসে যাচ্ছে, তাহলে হচ্ছে বেবিস চেস্ট রাইজ will open, lungs will inflate and there will be a chest rise. I have to see the chest rise and then that will ascertain that I am doing it correctly. Also, since I have applied that pulse oximeter will show you both the saturation SpO2 as well as the heart rate. Or else if I have PC leads very good, then I will apply those leads also. Just after providing the initial steps, I have to do this. তাহলে ওটাও heart rate দেখাতে পারে। যদি ওটা নাও থাকে তাহলে অ্যাটলিস্ট পালস অক্সিমিটার উইল শো স্যাচুরেশন এন্ড হার্ট রেট। পালস অক্সিমিটার যদি না থাকে তাহলে স্যাচুরেশন দেখা যাবে না। হার্ট রেট হ্যাজ টু বি অ্যাসেসড বাই দ্য স্টেথোস্কোপ। সাপোজ আই এম ডুইং ইট কারেক্টলি, তাহলে হচ্ছে চেস্ট রাইজ উইল occur, saturation will rise. Most importantly, the most sensitive thing is the heart rate. Once the hypoxia is corrected, heart rate will rise. Suppose I am pressing the bag, like all these things have been maintained, proper positioning, proper size of the mask, the bag is in working order. I am using the correct technique for holding the mask, holding the jaw, pressing the bag with the correct weight. Still, there is no chest rise. That means something is wrong. Now, what are the things which may get wrong so that the chest rise is not occurring? আচ্ছা, নাম্বার 1 থিং ইজ হতে পারে যে আমার পজিশনিংটাই ঠিক ছিল না। ইফ দ্য এয়ারওয়ে ইজ নট ওপেন, then there will not be any chest rise, because this airway needs to be open for the air which I am giving inside the baby's mouth to go inside the lungs. তাহলে I will check the positioning and reposition the baby. Number 2 thing, suppose there are some secretions inside the air. Maybe there is meconium or blood or even secretions, then I am going to apply a suction and then reapply this bag mask. Suppose there was a leak in this bag. Suppose this was not attached properly. I will again attach this, and ideally even before delivery I have checked like this whether the bag is working or not. If the bag is working, I will feel a pressure. If not, then there won't be any pressure at all. Number 4, I will check whether I am using the proper sized mask or not, whether the mask has been applied properly or not, whether my technique is correct or not. Suppose the baby has got some lung disease, suppose there is RDS, anything which needs more pressure to inflate the lungs. Also, the initial rate may need more pressure. It may even go up to 30 or 40 millimeter water. Later, when the FRC has been functional residual capacity has been established, there is air in the lungs, then after that, the subsequent rates may require less pressure for the same amount of air to enter the lungs. So, I may increase my pressure slightly, or else I may open the mouth slightly so that the air goes inside the baby's mouth. So, if I am doing it correctly, there will be chest rise, heart rate will rise, saturation will rise, and after 30 seconds, I will again reassess the baby. Suppose something is wrong from my end. Suppose I cannot get a proper chest rise, then I will correct these factors and again check. Suppose still I cannot, then I have to intubate the baby or apply the laryngeal mask airway, because for some reason, even if I am trying all these things, I fail to get a proper chest rise. Then I have left no choice other than intubating the baby, or if I fail or if I can't, then laryngeal mask airway. Usually, laryngeal mask airway is not provided in government hospitals, or it will not be provided in. Like this way. Can you see this flow chart? এই ফ্লো চার্টটা দেখা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, ma'am.
ঠিক আছে। Suppose I am applying positive pressure ventilation to the baby and I am rechecking every 30 seconds. Then what are the things I should check? Whether the baby is apneic or gasping, or again the heart rate. Suppose either the baby is still apneic or gasping, or it's not and it's any one of them. Heart rate still remains below 100 per minute. If any one of these things are wrong or both are wrong, then I have to continue with that process and reassess every 30 seconds. Suppose my heart rate goes below 60 per minute, then I have to start chest compressions along with the positive pressure ventilation. When I am going to apply chest compressions, then I have to continue the positive pressure ventilation and add chest compression. It is not what we see in the films that they do not give positive pressure ventilation, they apply only chest compression. That is wrong. So, once again I am saying, we will reassess the baby every 30 seconds, and what we have to see is the breathing efforts and the heart rate. If either one of them is abnormal, like considering the breathing efforts, baby is apneic, that means no respiration or gasping or irregular respiration, or the heart rate is 100 per minute, either one is abnormal or both are abnormal. In both cases, we have to continue the positive pressure ventilation. Suppose the heart rate goes below 60 per minute, then we have to start the chest compression along with the positive pressure ventilation. Chest compression has to be given along with the positive pressure ventilation, not as an isolated phenomenon. Where I'm stopping the positive pressure ventilation and applying the chest compression, like we see in films, that is incorrect. And one more thing, it's very important, I forgot to say earlier, that is, there is a concept of fast golden minute. What is that? That is, after the baby is being born, we are seeing these three things: turn or preterm, good tone, good breathing or crying. Any one of them are wrong. We are going for the initial steps. We are applying that warning, positioning, suctioning, drying, stimulating, repositioning, assessing the breathing and the heart rate of the baby. If either both or any one of them is abnormal, we are starting the positive pressure ventilation. Then from the process of birth till the process of applying the positive pressure ventilation, this entire thing will take less than a minute. We have to assess, we have to start the initial steps if required, we have to reassess and start the positive pressure ventilation if required within 1 minute of birth. This is known as the first golden minute. What is the use and value of this first golden minute? We can continue the initial steps for a long time. Then why are we stressing on this point that if required, we have to start the positive pressure ventilation within 1 minute? That is, suppose the baby was hypoxic before birth. When the baby was still a fetus and the mother was in the process of delivering, baby became hypoxic. Then after some irregular respirations, the baby stopped respiration. That is known as primary apnea. All this may happen inside the womb also, or even after delivery, we don't. Then after some time, the baby again starts some respirations irregular, and then even if the process of hypoxia continues, then the baby will go into a process of apnea again. That is known as the secondary apnea. Now after delivery, we do not know, suppose the baby is apnea, then we do not know it is primary or secondary. If it is primary apnea, then only by physical stimulation, which we are giving during the initial steps, by rubbing the baby, drying the baby, and providing stimulation, that will be enough for the baby to start breathing. Suppose it was secondary apnea, then even if we do this process again and again, baby will not start breathing. For that, breathing has to be provided artificially in the form of positive pressure ventilation. So suppose I do not know about this golden minute, or I do not believe in this, I am continuing rubbing the baby, stimulating the baby, minutes are going. Then what I am doing is that I am prolonging the hypoxia. Because if the baby does not breathe, even after so much of rubbing and stimulating, then hypoxia will continue because the baby cannot take any air inside. If the hypoxia continues, then baby will suffer from multi-organ injury, not only injury to the brain, but to all the organs. To the brain, to the heart, to the gut, to the kidneys, to all the organs. So ultimately the outcome will not be good in terms of mortality as well as morbidity. So to prevent this injury after birth, we have to be very sure that if at all positive pressure ventilation is required, means the baby is not taking any breath by himself or herself, then it has to be applied early, within a minute of birth, so that we can prevent any event of hypoxia and any further deterioration in the baby's condition due to our poor efforts. Whatever has happened inside the womb we cannot change. But after birth, whatever is happening is in our hands. So there should not be any delay in our part, because any delay will lead to further hypoxia and further deterioration. it will lead to increased mortality as well as morbidity. To prevent that, we have to start the positive pressure ventilation within 1 minute. We will not go on rubbing and stimulating the baby for minutes and baby will continue to be hypoxic. That we will not do. This is the concept of fast breathing. That means after birth, the first assessment, starting of the initial steps, reassessment if required, starting of the positive pressure ventilation, which will all be done within this 1 minute to prevent hypoxic damage to the baby after birth. Now, regarding the chest compressions, suppose we are giving positive pressure ventilation, we are applying it correctly till the heart rate goes below 60 per minute. This is the time when we are going to start the chest compressions along with the positive pressure ventilation. Now, what is the idea of this chest compression? Why are we going to apply? Positive pressure ventilation was correcting the hypoxia. Suppose we are applying it properly. The chest is getting, we can see the chest rise, but still, then what is the problem? Why is the chest compression required? Answer is, suppose the baby suffered from severe hypoxic damage inside the womb. Inside the womb, at that time we could not perform anything. Baby was being delivered. Then, if the damage was severe or prolonged, then there will be hypoxic cardiac depression. Hypoxic cardiac depression. So now, even when we are applying the positive pressure ventilation, even when air is entering, air or oxygen, whatever combination, entering the baby's lungs, the heart is weak. Heart is weak due to hypoxic depression. Heart rate cannot rise. Heart rate still it is below 60 per minute. Now, by the positive pressure ventilation, we are simply filling the lungs with air or oxygen. But the air or oxygen has to be carried to the tissues, different cells, tissues of the body through blood. Otherwise, if there is air in the lungs, but the heart is not working, then the oxygen is not circulating to the cells, it is not going to the cells. So there is no use of that. The baby will still suffer from hypoxic multi-organ injury, to the brain as well as to all the organs. So that the heart can circulate that air oxygen which we are providing by the positive pressure ventilation to the baby. That's why we have to stimulate the heart artificially, so that the heart does some work. There is some cardiac output. This oxygen from the lungs, which we are giving artificially, is going to the cells. It is being carried to the cells. For that, we are providing the chest compression. Idea is, we are compressing the upper part of the baby's chest near the sternum, and the heart is being compressed against the spine at the back, because the baby is lying on a flat surface on the newborn cot. And from front, we are providing the chest compression. So the heart is getting compressed against the spine and our hand. So whatever blood was there in the heart, it is going out, going to the from the aorta to the body. Again, when we are leaving the compression, we are removing the pressure, then the chest is re-inflating. Then there is negative pressure, and from that negative pressure, the blood will be sucked inside the heart. There will be venous return. If we maintain the positive pressure continuously, then there will not be any venous return. For the blood to leave the heart by the aorta, some blood has to be present in the heart. So when we are applying the pressure, the heart is getting compressed against our hands and the spine. Blood will leave the heart through the aorta and go to the tissues. Again, when we are releasing the pressure, then there will be negative pressure in the mediastinum. The blood from the venous side will be sucked inside the heart. Again, when we apply the pressure, then that blood will go to the different cells of the body. It will circulate in the body. So that is the main idea of the chest compression. Now I will show how to apply the chest compression. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
তোমাদের কি একটার পরে অন্য কোনো ক্লাস আছে?
ম্যাম একটা থেকে অন্য ক্লাস আছে।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে আজকে কিন্তু চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন অবধি হবে, বাকিটাও বাকি থাকছে, সেটা আজকে মানে করা সম্ভব হয় যেহেতু তোমাদের অন্য ক্লাস আছে। এনআরপি একটা লম্বা টপিক, এনআরপি অ্যাকচুয়ালি দেখাতে হবে, সেটা এরকম ভাবে দেখানো গেল না, সেটা কিছু করার নেই, কিন্তু এটা ওরকম 2 মিনিটে বলে দেওয়ার জিনিস নয়। আজকে তাহলে চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন অবধি থাক, তোমরা আরেকটা ক্লাস তাহলে অ্যারেঞ্জ করো। ঠিক আছে, এখন আমি চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন অবধি বলে দিচ্ছি 10 মিনিটে। আচ্ছা, সাপোজ পার্সন উইল রিকোয়ার চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন, তাহলে এখন দুটো লোক লাগছে। একটা লোক লাগছে যে পজিটিভ প্রেশার ভেন্টিলেশন কন্টিনিউ করবে, আর একটা লোক লাগছে, আর একটা লোক, অন্য একটা লোক যে চেস্ট কম্প্রেশনটা করবে। তাহলে পার্সন হু ইজ গিভিং দ্য পজিটিভ প্রেশার ব্রেথস, সে দাঁড়াবে পেশেন্টের হেড এন্ডে। যে চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন করবে সে তাহলে নিচের দিকে দাঁড়াবে, পায়ের দিকে বা সাইডে। সাপোজ এই যে আমরা দুজন এটা চেষ্টা করছি, এই হচ্ছে আমাদের বাচ্চা, উপরে রেডিয়েন্ট বরাবর আছে। আমি একটু পজিটিভ প্রেশার ব্রেথ আমি দেবো, আমি মাথার কাছে আছি, আমি এটা বলেছি, আমি প্রেস করবো, আর ও পায়ের দিকে বা নিচের দিকে। ঠিক আছে, এবার নিয়মটা হচ্ছে যে আমি বাচ্চাকে কিভাবে ধরবো সেটা একটা ব্যাপার, কত রেটে দেবো, কত জোরে দেবো, এবং কিভাবে আমি এই ব্যাগ মাস্কের সাথে ওটাকে কোঅর্ডিনেট করবো, সেটা আমি মুখে একবার বলে দিচ্ছি, তারপরে আমরা বাচ্চার উপরে দেখাবো। আচ্ছা, there are two techniques for applying chest compressions. One is the encircling technique, সেটা হচ্ছে encircling technique। এই যে বাচ্চাটা রয়েছে, এই বাচ্চাটার পেছন দিয়ে এরকম হাত নিয়ে গেলাম, এই যে হাতটা আছে, এই হাতটা বাচ্চার পেছনে রয়েছে, এই দুটো থামস বাচ্চাটার স্টার্নামের উপর থাকবে। স্টার্নাম মিনস লোয়ার 1/3 of the sternum but not the জিপি sternum. লোয়ার 1/3 of the sternum এ আমি প্রেসার দেবো, জিপি sternumটাকে বাদ দিই। জিপি sternumটাতেও প্রেসার দিলে কি হবে? কিছুই হবে না, জিপি sternumটা ভেঙে যাবে, চেস্ট কম্প্রেশনটা হবেই না, উল্টে ওটা ভেঙে গিয়ে কোনো লিভার বা অন্য কিছু ইনজুরি করতে পারে। সো ইট উইল অলওয়েজ এক্সক্লুড দ্য জিপি sternum. We will press with pressure using both thumbs. সেটা একে উপরে রাখবো নাকি পাশাপাশি রাখবো, it will depend on the size of the baby and the size of the thumbs. সাপোজ বেবি খুবই ছোট, এরকম একের উপরে আর একটা রাখবো। সাপোজ বেবি খুবই বড়, আমার আঙুলগুলো সরু সরু, আমি পাশাপাশিও রাখতে পারি, ডাজ নট ম্যাটার। ওটা সাইজ, বাচ্চার সাইজ আঙুলের সাইজের উপর ডিপেন্ড করছে। এই ইস্যুইজ আমি বাচ্চাটার পিছনে আমার দুটো হাত দিলাম টু স্টেবিলাইজ দ্য ব্যাক অফ দ্য বেবি, এরকম করে এনসার্কেল করলাম এন্টায়ার টর্সো, and putting my thumbs on the lower 1/3 of the sternum, leaving the জিপি sternum. এবার আমি প্রেস করবো, এইভাবে আমি ধরবো। দ্যাট ইজ ওয়ান টেকনিক, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য এনসার্কলিং টেকনিক। আর একটা টেকনিক আছে, দ্যাট ইজ টু ফিঙ্গার টেকনিক। সেটা হচ্ছে এই দুটো ফিঙ্গার, মিডল ফিঙ্গার, ইন্ডেক্স ফিঙ্গার সেম জায়গায়, লোয়ার 1/3 of the sternum, এক্সক্লুডিং দ্য জিপি sternum, দেখো পেছনে দেখানো হচ্ছে, এইভাবে প্রেস করবো। এই দুটো টেকনিকই চলতে পারে, কিন্তু যেটা বলা হয় সেটা হচ্ছে এনসার্কলিং টেকনিক ইজ অলওয়েজ বেটার দ্যান দ্য টু থাম্ব টেকনিক, কেননা এনসার্কলিং টেকনিকে আই এম প্রোভাইডিং সাম সাপোর্ট টু দ্য ব্যাক অলসো। যদিও বাচ্চাটা একটা ফ্ল্যাট প্রপার সার্ফেসেই আছে, বাচ্চাটাকে আকাশে ঝুলিয়ে কিন্তু ব্যাগ মাস্কও হবে না, আকাশে ঝুলিয়ে কিন্তু চেস্ট কম্প্রেশনও হবে। বেবির ব্যাক শুড রেস্ট অন আ ফার্ম সার্ফেস লাইক দ্য নিউনেটাল কর্ড। এরকম হাওয়ায় বাচ্চা ঝুলছে আর আমি হাওয়ায় ব্যাগ করতে করতে নিয়ে আসছি, ওটা কিন্তু ভয় না। আর একটা হচ্ছে সাপোজ কোনো সময় কোনোভাবে, সাপোজ দ্য সারফেস ইজ নট দ্যাট ফার, তাহলে হচ্ছে এটা ইউজ দ্য এনসার্কলিং টেকনিক, তাহলে কিছুটা সাপোর্ট আমার হাতটা দিতে পারে। এটা টু ফিঙ্গার ক্যান নেভার গিভ দ্যাট সাপোর্ট। টু ফিঙ্গারে only two fingers are placed on the lower 1/3 of the sternum. There is no support being provided to the back of the baby. তাহলে হচ্ছে এটা অতটা ভালো না। আর একটা হচ্ছে if I continue to give chest compression using two fingers, I will get fatigue. আমি যদি ফ্যাটিক হয়ে যাই তাহলে আমাকে যতটা অ্যামাউন্ট অফ প্রেশার দিতে হবে সেটা হয়তো দিতে পারবো, তো কিছুক্ষণ পরে আর পারবো। আলটিমেটলি তাহলে আমার কোয়ালিটি অফ চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন আর গোইং টু বি অ্যাফেক্টেড, সেটা আমি চাইছি। তাহলে whenever possible I will try to provide the encircling technique. এবার হচ্ছে হাউ মাচ টু প্রেস। I will press, this is the anteroposterior diameter of the chest, I will press up to 1/3 of that. খুব কম যদি প্রেস করি তাহলে হবে। এটা 1/3 কি করে বুঝবো যে এই যে বাচ্চাটা শুয়ে আছে এটা যে anteroposterior diameter এর 1/3, তাহলে lower 1/3 of the sternum excluding the leafy sternum, pressing 1/3 এর চেয়ে কম হলে আমি যদি চাইছি যে হার্টটা কমপ্রেস হোক, ব্লাডটা বেরোক, সেটা হবে না। এবার হচ্ছে যে কত রেটে প্রেস করব, এটা হচ্ছে I will provide 3 chest compressions 1 by 1, then followed by 1 positive pressure ventilation. তাহলে 1 মিনিটে টোটাল 90 চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন, 30 পজিটিভ প্রেসার ভেন্টিলেশন, মিনিট হচ্ছে টোটাল 120 ইভেন্টস ইন 50 সেকেন্ড, হাফ সেকেন্ড ফর ইচ। এইভাবে 1 and 2 and 3 and chest, প্রত্যেকটা 1 and 2 and 3 তে ও হচ্ছে চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন করবে। হয়ে গেলে আমি একটা পজিটিভ প্রেসার দেব। Here I want to mention one more important thing. That is, suppose I am going to provide chest compressions. আমি বাচ্চার চেস্টে ইনসার্ট করেছি, এরকম করে ধরেছি। I will provide pressure, then I must release the pressure also. আমি যদি সমানে প্রেস করে থাকি, রিলিজ না করি, তাহলে blood will go outside, but if the heart cannot refill, if the heart cannot refill, then there will ultimately there won't be any circulation at all. তাহলে I must press, then I must release, then again press. এবার রিলিজ মানে কোনটা রিলিজ করব, ফিঙ্গারটা রিলিজ করব না প্রেসারটা রিলিজ করব? I will release the pressure only. I will not lift my finger like this. Every time I am providing, suppose I am providing 3 chest compressions followed by a positive pressure ventilation, I will continue to put my thumb in that same position. I will press, I will release my pressure, not my fingers. প্রতিবার যদি ফিঙ্গারটা তুলে নিই, প্রতিবার ফিঙ্গারটাকে রিপ্লেস করতে হয় একই জায়গায়, ইট উইল টেক মোর টাইম। আমি ওই 90 কম্প্রেশন 30 পজিটিভ প্রেসার ব্রেথ আমি কিছুতেই এক মিনিট দিতে পারবো। তো আই উইল প্রেস এন্ড রিলিজ মাই প্রেসার, নট মাই ফিঙ্গার্স, লাইক দিস 3 টাইমস। এই anteroposterior diameter 1/3 নামবে। কোথায় হাত রাখছি না 1/3 লোয়ার থার্ড অফ স্টার্নাম এক্সক্লুডিং দ্য লিফি স্টার্নাম। এবার হচ্ছে যখন আমি পজিটিভ প্রেসার ব্রেথ দেবো, অ্যাট দ্যাট টাইম আমি ফিঙ্গারটা এখানে রাখছি যেমন রাখা ছিল। আই এম নট রিমুভিং মাই ফিঙ্গার্স, বাট আই এম নট প্রোভাইডিং এনি প্রেসার। যখন যদি আমি বাই চান্স এরকম প্রেস করে তারপরে এটাকে করি, দিতে চাই ব্রেথটা, তাহলে দেয়ার উইল বি সো মাচ অফ প্রেসার ইন দ্য মিডিয়াস্টিনাম, নো ব্রেথ উইল এন্টার দ্য ব্রেথ। তাহলে হচ্ছে আমি 3টে চেস্ট কম্প্রেশন দেবো। In between I am releasing the pressure, not my fingers. At the end of 3 chest compressions, I am going to provide the positive pressure breath to the baby. At that point also, I will keep my fingers in situ. I will not remove my fingers, but I will not give any pressure on it. আমি এখানে চাচ্ছি আবার এটা দিয়ে ব্রেথ দিচ্ছি, এত কিছু করি। Secondly, it is always better to incubate the baby when I am going to provide the chest compressions. তাহলে it becomes easier for 2 people to coordinate the chest compressions with the positive pressure ventilation. Positive pressure ventilation will be provided by this mask through this bag, as well as by the endotracheal tube, which is going straight inside the trachea, again through this bag. So, if we require prolonged diaphragmatic ventilation, like there are many 30 seconds are going on and we have to continue, baby is still happening or still the heart rate remains less than 100, so that is an indication for the intubation. Suppose ineffective. Suppose I am trying all these methods, তাহলেও আমি চেষ্টা করতে পারছি না। Ineffective diaphragmatic ventilation. Then also that is an indication for intubation. Another is chest compression. I have reached a point when chest compression becomes easy. At that point, I want to ensure that baby will not have any hypoxia, because the main reason for the baby requiring chest compression is hypoxic cardiac depression. So to prevent or correct any hypoxia, I am intubate at this point. আরেকটা হচ্ছে there are some contraindications of diaphragmatic ventilation. Most important is congenital diaphragmatic hernia. If it is present, then diaphragmatic ventilation is contraindicated, because all the guts are inside the chest. There is a hole in the diaphragm. All the guts are entering the chest. Now, if I provide this diaphragmatic ventilation, as I said, I cannot dictate that no air will enter inside the esophagus and no air will go inside the gut. Through this mask, air will go inside the trachea as well as inside the gut. So the gut, it's already in the chest, will get hyperinflated and it will further press the lungs and the heart. So it is contraindicated. Instead, we have to intubate immediately. So these are the indications of the bag. tube intubation, which is not possible to explain today. এটা পরের দিন পরে কোনো ক্লাস হলে এক্সপ্লেন করে দেওয়া হবে। So if you have any questions, you can ask me now.
ম্যাম সিপ্যাপ আর পিপিভির মধ্যে ডিফারেন্সটা কি? মানে সিপ্যাপেও তো প্রেসার মেনটেনই করা হয়।
না, CPAP is not going to provide any breath. এই যে আমি শ্বাস নিলাম তার মানেটা কি হলো? আমার লাংসে হাওয়া ঢুকলো, ঠিক আছে? এটাকে আমি কি বলবো? এটাকে আমি ফাংশনাল রেসিডুয়াল ক্যাপাসিটি বলবো না টাইডাল ভলিউম বলবো? এই যে আমি শ্বাসটা নিলাম আমার চেস্টে কি ঢুকছে?
টাইডাল ভলিউম।
Tidal volume. CPAP will not provide any tidal volume because CPAP কোনো breath নয়. Baby has to have his or her own efforts. Baby has to take his or her own respiration to provide his or her own tidal volume. CPAP শুধু continuous positive pressure, যেটা হচ্ছে যে it is going to maintain the efforts. Means at the end of expiration also it ensures that the lung is open to some extent. There is some air inside the lungs so that it does not get collapsed. তাহলে কি নেক্সট রেসপিরেশনটা নিতে সুবিধা হবে। সাপোজ দ্য লাং এট দ্য এন্ড অফ এক্সপিরেশন গেটস টোটালি কোলাপস, তাহলে অনেক বেশি প্রেসার লাগবে আর একটা টাইডাল ভলিউম ঢোকাতে, যাতে কি লাং ওরকম কোলাপস না হয়ে যায়, লাংয়ে একটা ফাংশন রেসিডুয়াল ক্যাপাসিটি মেইনটেইন হয়। সেই জন্য সিপ্যাপ ডাজ নট প্রোভাইড টাইডাল ভলিউম। কিন্তু এই জিনিসটা সেলফ ইনফ্লেটেবল ব্যাগ বা ফ্লো ব্যাগ বা ভেন্টিলেটর বা টিপিস, এগুলো প্রত্যেকেই একটা করে টাইডাল ভলিউম প্রোভাইড। এটাই ডিফারেন্স বিটুইন সিপ্যাপ আর এটা। আর কিছু?
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম। বলছি ম্যাম বাইপ্যাপ কি তাহলে মানে এই আমরা পিপিভি যেটা করছি ওটার ক্ষেত্রে কিছুটা হেল্প করে? মানে যেহেতু ওর বোথ ফেজের প্রেসার ডিফারেন্সটা হয় না, ওটাও সিপ্যাপেরই মতো?
No, actually, this thing is not providing any CPAP unless and until এটাকে আমি একটা পিপ ভালভ লাগাই, ঠিক আছে? It is simply providing the tidal volume. এটাতে যদি আমি একটা পিপ ভালভ লাগিয়ে দিই আলাদা করে, বা প্রোব্যাগে লাগাই বা টিপিসে লাগাই, টিপিসটা প্রোব্যাগে থাকে, যদি আমি সেটা ইউজ করি তাহলে হচ্ছে এট দ্য এন্ড অফ এক্সপিরেশন যতটা হাওয়া ইন্সপিরেশন ঢুকেছিল অতটা বেরিয়ে যায় না, কিছুটা অ্যামাউন্ট বেবির লাংসের থেকে যায়। দ্যাট ইজ প্রোভাইডিং দ্য পিপ, দ্যাট ইজ মেইনটেনিং দ্য এফার্টস। সেটা আলাদা। যদি সেটা না থাকে, এটাকে আলাদা করে পিপ ভালভ না লাগাই, তাহলে এটা অনলি এন্ড অনলি টাইডাল ভলিউম প্রোভাইড করবে, পিপ নয়। আচ্ছা, কি জানতে চাও সেটা একটু পরিষ্কার করে বলো।
বাইপ্যাপের ফাংশনটা তাহলে জিজ্ঞাসা করবো, মানে সিপ্যাপ আর বাইপ্যাপের ডিফারেন্সটা?
Is anybody having any final questions? Should we end the session now? Please respond. Okay. Arrange the slot and let us know. Thank you.